Hey everyone, it's Zara. I'm back with showing you guys some of the books that I've read this year. So I think I'm on book number 21. I'm about to begin book number 21 for the year of 2020. Last year, toward the end, second half of the year, I was like, okay, I'm going to count how many books I read just because I want to know. I shared it on social media, and a lot of people were encouraged to start reading more. And as you guys know, I talked about it in my last video. I think I talk about it often that I love to read. I'm a reader. I keep it pretty, like happy peppy. Like, yeah, I read like, stories with ups and downs and sad things and challenges and like real life. But I like my stories to wrap up well and kind of have like a satisfying, happy, hopeful ending. So I don't read mystery, I don't read crime, I don't read anything that's like the last page is like, and they slid off the ditch and died. Like, I just don't do that. I'm very, very, very careful about what enters my eye gates, what goes through my ear gates, that sort of thing. And so with that, obviously what I'm reading, like, so TV, I won't watch shows that are like horror or crime or like too much drama, just because I don't want to watch a show that's going to like emotionally take from me. It's TV. It shouldn't be doing that. In my opinion, like, that's just my own boundary for myself. And so it's the same thing I follow into with books. Like, I don't want a book to like emotionally take from me. And so with that being said, I have, I think, 16 of the books that I've read this year. So 16 of the 20 books that I've read this year. The other ones, I've either given them to a friend or returned them to the library or sold them or something. I don't know. So stay tuned. Make sure you guys click the like button, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if this is the kind of content you guys are interested in. I'm probably going to share it anyway, whether y'all are interested or not, just like the scripture readings. So anyway, welcome to my channel. All right, so to start this party out, first book, can you guys see it? Should have thought about the distance of the camera beforehand. Anyway, this is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This was a part of Reese's book club. It is, Reese Witherspoon said, beautifully written and incredibly funny. So I'm really bad about like summarizing and not giving like spoilers. So I'm just gonna like read the back of the book to you guys, probably on each one of these, or I'll just like summarize if I know I can like not like spoil. So keep that in mind. So it says, meet Eleanor Oliphant. She struggles with appropriate social skills and tends to say exactly what she's thinking. Nothing is missing in her carefully timetabled life, where weekends mostly consist of frozen pizza, vodka, and phone chats with Mummy. But everything changes when Eleanor meets Raymond, a bumbling IT guy from her office, whose big heart will ultimately help Eleanor find the way to repair her own profoundly damaged one. So this book is just, it's like a witty book. It's written so well. Like, I read this book and I just thought, wow, like, they don't make writers like that anymore. And it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those books that, she gives you like just enough each chapter to make you want to keep reading. I don't know, it kind of made me reflect a little bit about like my own quirks and I don't know, kind of how we see the world and how quick we are to judge people and not really know or pay attention to like other things. Sorry y'all, I have this wig on and it's just too much hair, but it's cute. Anyway, so yeah, how quickly we judge people and not really like know what's going on. So this is a really good book. I loved it. I'm probably going to read it again and not give it away ever. And then I read these books. So it is a trilogy. The first one being the Rosie Project. Can you see it? So the Rosie Project's first, and then the Rosie Effect is second. And then last is the Rosie Result. So, and all of these three were like really good books, but I will say it goes in order. It's like, this is the best, This is the second best, and then this is probably my least favorite, but it was still good, you know? So the Rosie Project, so this trilogy really follows a man who, his name is Don Tillman, and he's a genetics professor. And so he decides, like, I'm this age, and I'm this, like, this is where I am in my life, and I want to get married. Therefore, like, he set out to scientifically sort through candidates on his own, like using his own like questionnaire. And again, he's a genetics professor, so like he's really smart. He knows how to kind of do this. And so anyway, he ends up meeting this woman named Rosie, and they kind of go on a journey together. And then in this one, Rosie, see, that's the thing. It's like, it's a spoiler in it, whatever. So then this one is like he and Rosie have a kid. And then this one, it's he and Rosie raising a kid. And so the stories are so complex. It's so good. There's so many characters throughout like these 3 books that it's like, I don't want to sound like really basic and elementary, but it's so good. And it takes you on this journey of labels and identity, and so many issues are like interwoven throughout all of the different stories, and like there's a really good character development. So like the Don Tillman that you read about in the first book completely evolves to like to this new Don Tillman that is in this last book, but like the base character is still the same. And I just find that that's really hard for authors, at least in modern day fiction, to do, is to write these trilogies, these long-term stories with these characters, and still keep like the base person of who that character is alive, while like really evolving the character and changing them, and like showing us the development of each character. And this really, 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 really does that well. So that's by I want to call him Graeme. It's Graeme, Graeme Simsion. And yeah, so all of them are written by the same person, and they're really good. Definitely worth it if you're looking for something to read. Okay. I just finished this one, More Than Words. I think it's her newer book, by Jill Santopalo. And then the same author is The Light We Lost. And I remember reading this like really early in the year. I remember it being good, but I also remember like forgetting like the middle of the story. But I remember it was good, and I thought like, oh, like I want to read other books by this author. And I think she only has these 2 books out right now. But I'll read you guys what it says on the cover, or on the inseam of the cover. He was the first person to inspire her, to move her, to truly understand her. Was he meant to be the last? Lucy is faced with a life-altering choice, but before she can make her decision, she must start her story, their story, at the very beginning. Lucy and Gabe met as seniors at Columbia University on a day that changed them forever. Together they decided they want their lives to mean something, to matter. When they meet again a year later, it seems fated. Perhaps they'll find life's meaning in each other. But then Gabe becomes a photojournalist assigned to the Middle East, and Lucy pursues a career in New York City. What follows is a 13-year odyssey of dreams, jealousies, and ultimately of love. Lucy will begin a new life with handsome and reliable Darren, while Gabe will travel the world. Their journey will take Lucy and Gabe continents apart, but never out of each other's hearts. And Lucy will find herself asking, was it fate that brought them together? Is it a choice that has kept them away? Lucy's powerful voice brings to life the universal truth of first love, of being completely understood for the first time. Emotional and page-turning, The Light We Lost is a devastatingly romantic debut novel with shattering, unforgettable ending. That's true. The ending of this book took me out. And I think that's why I was like, I know this is a good writer. It's well written. I like this book. I love the story. But the way it ended, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I remember having that reaction. Still a good book, though. And then this book was really good, More Than Words. I love this book. So I'll just read the inseam of this as well. Nina Gregory has always been a good daughter, raised by her father, owner of New York City's glamorous Gregory Hotels. Nina was taught that family, reputation, and legacy are what matters most. And Tim, her devoted boyfriend and best friend since childhood, feels the same. But when Nina's father dies, he leaves behind a secret that shocks Nina to her core. As her world falls apart, Nina begins to see the men in her life, her father, her boyfriend, and unexpectedly, her boss, Raphael, in a new light. Soon, Nina finds herself caught between the world she loves and a passion that could upend everything. Y'all, girls, men, whoever likes to read like a good chick fic book, like this is it. Like I read this and I was like, okay, this woman, you're going places. So I think this is just her second book. So I can't wait to read whatever she puts out next. Like she's quickly becoming like one of the authors I know I can depend on to give me a good story. Okay, and then last but not least, I have a lot of Emily Giffen's novels. Some of you on social media know that I'm like obsessed with her writing, and a lot of you who watch enough like chick flicks will know one of her books became a movie. I did not realize that, so I was reading this book, Something Borrowed. Okay, I was reading this book, and oh no, my microphone. We got a little ghetto setup, y'all. Okay, so I was reading this book, and I was just like, gosh, this sounds so familiar, but I don't know, like maybe I've heard this story before or someone was telling me about this book before, but like, man, it's just so good. And I'm just like reading this book, and then finally someone I was telling the book about was like, isn't that a movie? And then it clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, Something Borrowed, it's a movie. So this is a movie about like a young attorney, a woman who lives and works in New York, in Manhattan, and her best friend, like they've been best friends forever, but like they're completely different like personalities, like yin and yang, or yin and yang, however you say it. And what ends up happening is Rachel, the young attorney, met this guy in school. She introduced him to her best friend. The best friend takes the man. Years later, Rachel ends up in bed with that guy. And so it's a whole thing, y'all. And it happens, but she's still best friends with this girl, and they're like getting married, and it's a whole thing. So if you've seen the movie, you know what happens, but if you haven't seen the movie, I really say like read the book and then watch the movie. It's pretty similar. It's not as similar, but it's pretty similar, and I mean it's good, y'all. So this is the second Emily Giffen book I read, and then I realized it was a movie, but an amazing one. This is the sequel to it, Something Blue by Emily Giffen, and this is when, I don't want to spoil it, but this is just the sequel to Something Borrowed. It's really good. Something Blue, so that should give you an idea. Okay. Another one by Emily Giffen. Love The One You're With. This is good too. So this one says, Ellen and Andy Graham have the perfect marriage. There is no question how deep their devotion is and how naturally they bring out the best in each other. But one fatal afternoon, Ellen runs into Leo, the one who brought out the worst in her, the one who left her heartbroken nearly a decade ago, the one she could never quite forget. When his reappearance ignites long dormant emotions, Ellen begins to question whether the life she's living is the one she's meant to live. And this also was like a good story. Like all of her books do have to do with like relationships, and it just like she just does a good job of like exploring the honesty that is living, like being a human, and like just like those inner thoughts and emotions that like we all have thought at some point but like would never say. She does a good job just like bringing it out, which is why I like Emily. And that was the first book I read where I realized like she just did such a great job of doing that. This is Baby Proof Also a good book. All of Emily Giffen's books are good, but this one is about like this couple. They fall in love. They get married, and they at first agreed that they didn't want kids, and then down the line, one of them decides that they do want kids. And so this book kind of follows like how you work through that and how you work that out. And like, do you give up an overall good marriage over an issue like one person wants kids and the other person doesn't? Like, truly doesn't. Great book. First comes love. Can you see it? First comes love. Okay. Growing up, sisters Josie and Meredith Garland shared a loving, if sometimes conscientious, relationship. But when tragedy strikes, their delicate bond is splintered. 15 years later, Josie and Meredith, now in their late 30s, are following very different paths. Josie, a first grade teacher, is single, but what she wants more than the right guy is to become a mother. Meredith, a successful attorney, has a wonderful husband and daughter, yet lately wonders if she chose the life that was expected of her rather than the one she truly desired. As the anniversary of their family tragedy looms and secrets from the past surface, Josie and Meredith must confront their differences once and for all, discovering that the path to true happiness is really the one you know best. This book was so good because it was all about the sister relationship. I think it's so easy to like write books for women that are completely centered around romantic relationships and men and kind of ignore, or like their children, right? And just ignore other types of relationships that women have in the everyday normal world. This book does a great job of keeping it centered and focused. Like, yeah, it has like the romance and stuff there, but it keeps it focused on that sister relationship. And I think even like that's a reason why a lot of parents like the movie Frozen, because it just keeps like the sister relationship the main thing. So I love that book. This is probably my third favorite Emily Giffen novel, Heart of the Matter. Like, I can't even summarize this to do it justice. Just know that, whoo, this one was like a page turner. I was up at night like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? Like, I could not put this down. I read this book in a day and a half because I was like, I can't put it down until I know what happens. I have to know how this turns out. I have to know what she said, what he said, what she said, what she found out, what he and her did. Like, it was this one is like drama, but it's like good. It's so good. So, do I want to read the whole thing? Okay, I guess I have to. Tessa Russo is the mother of 2 young children and the wife of a renowned pediatric surgeon. Despite her own misgivings, Tessa has recently given up her career to focus on her family and the pursuit of domestic happiness. From the outside, she seems destined to live a charmed life. Valerie Anderson is an attorney and single mother to 6-year-old Charlie, a boy who has never known his father. After too many disappointments, she has given up on romance and even to some degree friendships, believing that it is always safer not to expect too much. So both of these women live in the same suburb. Something big happens. Their paths have to cross and like continue crossing. The husband of one of these women ends up operating on, or being the doctor, I guess, of the other woman's child. And it just becomes a whole thing, y'all. And you really get down to the heart of the matter. Like, if you are not going to read any of Emily's novels, like, except for like 1 or 2 of them, this would be one of them for sure. I'm probably going to read that again here soon. The One and Only, also a really good novel. I really enjoyed it. It's probably not like this is one of her slower ones, and then it picks up in the middle, and then it just like goes, and you're just like, whoa, what just happened and why? So yeah, so if you have this one at home, like, give it a minute because it does get really good. So there's a coach. I don't even want to. It's set in Texas. It's like a football coach, family, small town, affairs, not even affairs, more like widower moves on with younger person, that younger person's a friend, blah blah. Okay, like it's a little weird, but like it just makes you think, like, you know what, like when people fall in love and when people are committed to each other, they're committed to each other. And as long as, like, personally, as long as it's like not one of those like biblically forbidden relationships, then like you have every right to like enter one, and people are gonna have to get over it and like deal with it. Like, that's life. So that's this book. I walked away with, you know what, that's true. People are gonna have to adjust, make the adjustment, and deal with it, with the caveat of, as long as it's not, you know, a biblically forbidden relationship. Almost done, guys. All We Ever Wanted. This is the first book I read by Emily Giffen. She tackles race, socioeconomic status, and gender norms, gender stereotypes, responsibilities, and rape, all in one book. And that's all I'm going to say about this. This is my favorite book that she's written. It's the first one I read. It's what got me hooked. It's the first book I read of 2020, and I am forever thankful for this book. And she's so sweet. She sent me a signed copy of it. She's so sweet. I love her. So anyway, I will cherish this book forever. And then last but not least, I just finished this one. This is her brand new book. It comes out June 2nd. The Lies That Bind. It is centered in New York around 9/11. So if you're sensitive about that, you know, maybe it's not a great read for you, but she kind of, for me, I loved it because it's like you read 9/11 stories, and I get wanting to like respect so much of what we lost on that day. Like I get that. But there were so many stories that haven't been told, and stories that turned out maybe not so devastating, or devastating, but like in a different way. And I really respect her for having the guts to like go there and to tell a full story, that took you on a few different loops, but tried to help you understand like why we were going on that ride. And again, like, her books just do a really good job of like dissecting relationships and the thoughts and the biases and the baggage that we bring in, and how communication, like, lines just get crossed. And at the end of the day, like, if it's true love and it's true commitment, it should untangle itself and it should work out. In this book, like, I read it in 2 days. She sent it to me early. I read it in 2 days, and I was like, dang it, I'm mad that I finished it so quickly, because it was so good, and I wanted more. I want to know the rest of the story with these characters, because it was that good. So I definitely recommend this one. Again, The Lies That Bind. It's her new book. And then I want to show you guys the book that I'm about to start reading tonight, God willing, after this video. It is When Life Gives You Lululemons. I don't even know how you say that. It's one of like the Devil Wears Prada series. I've never seen that movie. Maybe I should watch it. And I've never read the book. I'm definitely not going to read the book, but I will probably watch the movie so I can figure out what's going on after I read this. I used to be in a book club in Kentucky, and I trust the person who organizes it. I trust her taste completely. So when she gives me a recommendation, I grab it, and I know it's probably going to be something really good and something that I like. So this will be book number 21 of the year. It'll likely take me maybe a little bit longer to read it, because I do start a new full-time job, Baruch Hashem, hallelujah, this week. So I will not have as much time on my hands to kind of like read while the children are, you know, doing whatever they're doing, playing and coloring. But I'll finish it eventually, and hopefully it'll be good. So anyway, this is what I like to read, the types of books I enjoy. Hopefully you guys got a good recommendation. If you guys like to read this kind of like genre, leave your book recommendations below. I think I read like 100 and I don't know how many books, like 109, I don't even know. But I read like over 100 books last year, and that was just like the ones I counted after the fact. So I definitely need to stack my list. This is just 17 books. Like, it seems like a ton, but it's just 17 books. So if you guys have any recommendations that are within this genre, y'all don't be sending me no like drama, mystery, horror, traumatic traumatic black struggle novels. I don't watch that stuff. I don't read it unless necessary. So like, yes, I'm gonna have to watch Roots again when I sit my kids down and watch Roots. There's certain movies and books that my kids are gonna read that are, you know, struggle based on just our ancestral history, both from a Jewish side, from an indigenous side, from an African side. Like, those stories are going to be told, but that's not what I like to fill myself up with. So for real, don't leave me none of those recommendations. I'll be real mad if I go on Goodreads or I look up the book to buy it and I find out it's a rough one. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, Youre Hashem, y'all. Until next time, Youre Hashem, God willing. Bye, everyone.